You think that all that bad juju went over to the Dallas team and then boom, 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 all these things happen?
It'd be hard to argue that right now.
The problem is he's not even given that he earned his spot. You're saying that he didn't earn his spot when he's putting up numbers better than the people.
Spot. He's making the most out of the opportunity, but I don't think he earned his spot. Just pull out, bro. Like, it's a lot safer. Like,
gonna touch that one.
And I know they probably talking to you like, whatever.
Hey,
yeah, that's what they do when they see a mark. What up, y'all? Back for another audio occasion. It is the podcast for the self-starters and those willing to make the most out of any situation. The EFS podcast is back for another episode. And for today's audio, gotta go with my boy, man. My boy is down and out right now, so gonna show him some love.
Come on now.
As he bounces back from his,
yes, sir, man.
You know, let's rock out.
It hasn't been 48 hours since I tore my ACL, but you know, the recovery process already started, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So just wanted to let you guys know I'm okay.
He's all right.
I will be okay moving forward.
He will be okay.
It does suck a lot. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. It's yeah, this one stings for sure. But I have a great support system around me. I have incredible family members and friends, and I know I'm supported not just here in America but internationally. And I'm not on this journey alone. I did want to give a shout out to all those that have dealt with traumatic injuries before in their lives, and
shouts to y'all.
It's not easy sitting up all day in the bed and recovering, and thinking about the what ifs and what could have possibly went this way or that way. You guys are part of my journey and part of my process of recovery now, and I will be back and I will be better. It's going to take some time, but I don't question any of God's works or God's planning. Hurts.
Never question God's work, God's planning. We'll touch on that once we get through this intro music. It's hurt to see my boy go down like that, man, but it is what it is. Injuries happen, they're part of the game. So big love to Kyrie. Get well, get rested, let that body heal up, and he'll be back. He'll be back soon enough. But as we get this intro music rocking, multitude of air horns on the way in today. Let's get it, y'all. And once again, as we kick off the audio occasion, the EFS podcast is back. I am your host, D. Burke, the man, the myth, the legend from the EFS brand himself. The biggest brand that you don't know about yet is we made it to the audio/visual occasion. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm here. I'm awake now a little bit more. We'll get to, what my day's been like so far, but I'm finally coming back to life. I got my boy Waldo Black back in the house, man. The man. The father.
Waldo
the artist. All that good stuff, man. All that good stuff. Round of applause for the gang back in the house today. A round of applause for you, and you coming to check us out. Episode 53 is here, man. We got big talk in the way, a lot of hoop talk, a little bit of relationship talk, and we'll get serious at the end of it when we get to our real talk. But as we fade out our theme music, a little check-in on the way in. How's it going, my boy? How you doing? How you feeling? Fade us out.
Real good, man.
And let's get to it, man.
I'm working, man. I'm working, getting things squared away. I got this big show at University of Delaware coming up. Just trying to get myself ready for that.
Word.
Always the music. Just planning things out. Obviously, things are changing because of the baby, getting that squared away too. So it's a lot. It's a lot of change.
Big time father vibes.
A lot of change.
It happens fast, bro. Those 9 months go by quick.
Facts. So, just other than that, I've just been vibing, man. Having a good time with fam.
Like it.
Loving it. Loving life, man. Loving life. You know what I'm saying? Showing you how it's done on a mini golf court. You know what I mean?
That shit was crazy last night.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
We went to play mini golf last night. And there was one hole, pause, that the shit just kept popping out.
Yo, that shit was
At least a good 2 times when I was like right there next to the hole. I think they had that shit rigged, but
it was rigged for sure.
it was all good. Good experience.
It was
Good night.
time. Good fun time, man.
Yeah, for sure. 100%, man. 100%.
Whenever you get to see family, it shows you what it's all about, man. Forget
No, it was a good night, good evening.
Spend time with fam.
Everybody had a good time.
Facts.
Real good energy all across.
Yeah.
Which led to today. And as I said earlier, I'm physically here, but the body is, the body is very worn down right now. My energy levels is super low. Super low. I'm like I said, the berries, the sustenance coming back to my system is waking me up. I don't know what made me decide to pod after this, but show must go on.
Facts, man. Love the dedication.
Yeah, for sure. As you guys know, we talked about this a couple of episodes ago doing my marathon training. We are almost a month out from the race, and things are getting to the real nitty gritty now. I had to run 16 miles today before I came into the pod, and it was a keep it funky like right now. I'm keeping it funky. That's the longest I've ever run in my life. I've done as I said on here, I've done 3 half marathons and never a full. But leading up to the full marathon, I've had to run multiple distances, which are longer than I've ever ran in my life, which was prior to 13.1 before I started training for this one. So. This week was 16 miles, which is my longest distance thus far, and I still got 2 more before we get to the point where you taper. For anyone who knows anything about marathon training, you build up on a week-by-week basis with your long runs. It cycles, but then you build up as well. So this week I got 16 today. Next weekend I got 18 and one more 20, which would then lead me to the point where we taper off, headed towards the race. And tapering is basically you just lower any kind of like distances that you're running, and you just keep things super low intensity, so you give your body a chance to like kind of recuperate before you get into the big event, which is the race itself.
Okay.
So today's run was cool. I am feeling stronger with the running and longer distances and stuff like that, but today just took a lot out of you. Like, my big ass, I'm 235, 240 on the high end, if we're somewhere within that range, but moving for that long at steady paces, even though I'm not going super, super fast, which is not what you're looking to do in marathon running anyway, or distance running, it just taxes you. Like I burned, I think, 2,800 calories throughout the run. And, it breaks you down a little bit. So coming over here, having to come right off the run to get here to pod, I almost canceled. I was considering being like, yo, we ain't doing this shit today. But, I got an obligation to y'all, the people, and an obligation to myself, man, to stay consistent. So we here. And it's my choice, my path, my promise to myself to complete the marathon. So whatever I got to do around it, I still got to hold it down and make sure that we doing it.
Where's this one at?
This one is in Rehoboth, Delaware. Y'all all over the world. You might not know much about the area, but it's here in this state. I've run a couple. I've run half marathon. I've ran in Philly. I've ran one in New York. One here as well. So this one's also here. So we'll see how this first one goes. I don't know if I'm gonna plan on running multiple, just because the training for it, which I said a couple episodes ago, and you wasn't here for that, but it's a literal physical It's a physical and an emotional thing. Yeah. Like all morning leading up to the run, I'm just like, fuck. Like I gotta go out there and do this shit today.
All I do is 5Ks, man. I ain't
right.
And I walk run those.
Right.
Someone I can't talk to you.
And no shade to the people that like the 5Ks and all the other 5K stuff. Like, do what you do. Yeah. Like, as I said, this is my challenge to myself. And, refer back to episode 51 about where the motivation and all that comes from. But yeah, today the energy is very low. I'm not to make it seem like that, but just accept my presence as a present here today, because
we appreciate
your boy could be somewhere else completely and like laid up in the bed right now. So I'm glad I'm here with y'all, and we'll get to it. We'll get to our talks for the day.
Hopefully y'all appreciate the effort that he's putting forth and is doing for y'all, so y'all can come back and like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. We giving all ourselves to you. See this man? See what he's doing? See how hard he's going for y'all? Give this man his flowers, man.
Get my shit back.
Give him man's flowers. Give us some likes. Give us some comments.
Give me a meal.
Give me a meal. It's crazy.
Send me a little DoorDash,
DoorDash
gift card.
Listen.
Yeah, something like that.
Start with the likes first. Get a couple of those. Maybe.
We'll start with the likes. Don't go too hard out the gate.
I know, right? But no, I appreciate that, man. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you know what I mean, stay true to your word, man. No matter how long, the situation is going to go for, because I think you got this, you got next week. It's going to be
I got
consistent.
2 more weeks.
Yeah. So,
I gotta figure out what we about to do because 18 and 20 on
18-20 gonna be crazy.
or recording days is, you know,
Ooh-wee.
that's gonna be a whole thing.
We're gonna push through.
Shouts to my run partner, though. Got to give her a shout out on here. She's a very avid pod listener and watcher. She's consistently supportive.
Nice.
And she's someone that, you know, has championed me in this space, but also in, you know, the fitness space as well, because I train her. So she's run a marathon actually before, and she's been preparing for this one. So, you know, we decided to knock out our long runs together. So shouts to her. She texted me after the run today, said like, yo, like you humbled me because I literally thought we was going to stop at least a good 2 or 3 times and we didn't. So, you know, she gave me a little bit of love on that. And I told her, shit, like I only didn't stop because you didn't stop.
Exactly.
So, you know, I had to thank her for pushing me through as well. So yeah, big love on that, you know, appreciate the camaraderie as we go through the challenge or leading up to the challenge together. So definitely needed that one today. And it definitely helps to have a run partner if you're training for a marathon. Obviously, you know, you got to know someone that's kind of into that shit.
You got to be
partner up with
culture,
that.
Yeah.
But if you're doing them 16s, 18s, 20s solo, like I got a big respect for, you know, all the people who are avid marathon runners, the people that train for them. And I know a few of them. I know a bunch of them, actually. So, you know, I'm now putting myself into the process of getting ready for it. And I've just gained even much more of a respect for the people that really, really do this shit. Because, you know, I'm not a runner. Everyone who thinks I'm, like, that great at running and all that shit, like, I am a basketball player turned fitness guy who's got into cardio, and the marathon things has just kind of been just a challenge for myself. But I am not, by nature, by physical stature, by ambition or anything like that, a true runner. So I leave that to y'all who are the, you know, the real ones that are into that shit. But, you know, I'm very happy about putting myself through the challenge, and, you know, we'll see how it goes the day of. But I got a goal, but I'm trying not to give myself a goal because the first one is just looking for completion. But we'll see if I can live up to my own standard for that. But it may or may not go that way. But as long as I cross that finish line, I'll be good.
Yeah, man. You got that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a pivot, right?
Pivot. I guess we open up. We talked about it at the top, but, you know, the Kyrie injury, definitely a big, big blow to the Mavericks, blow to the NBA, blow to the basketball community to see one of the good guys, you know, go down, you know.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel bad for Dallas, honestly.
I do.
It's like everything went wrong this year.
I do, but I also don't. Like,
why
you
don't
know,
you?
not that I want to see anybody get injured. I don't. I don't want to see anybody get injured at all as any kind of athlete, professional.
Bad for them at all?
I mean, I feel bad for the Dallas fans, but I'm just going to go back to kicking Nico Harrison's back in. Like,
oh, yeah. We all dislike Nico at this point.
It's the Luka curse, I think.
Oh, that's what this is?
I think so. That's what they're saying online. This is the Luka curse. All the injuries that the Mavericks have been riddled with is the curse, the Luka curse. And not to really say Luka's fault, but you know what happened when trading Luka, like the karma is basically coming back to the organization off of that. So, you know.
You think that all that bad juju went over to the Dallas team and then boom, 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 all these things happen?
It'd be hard to argue that right now.
It's very convincing,
They suited up 9 players the other night. 9 players. I forget who they was playing. I watched the game, but my memory is shitty. But I forget who they was playing, but they suited up 9 players for the game because they don't have anybody.
The AD Luka trade was wild. I mean, for Luka, I know they would have gave up more pieces than that. That's what's crazy to me. If they'd have said Dalton Connect and AD, they would have probably said, yeah, sure. At least we had another shooter.
I think they got decent value back for what they gave for Luka.
Let's not pretend.
I mean, not to say that there is some level, like Luka is that guy.
He's that guy, man.
We're seeing that now even more so, but I think that the trade, nobody's really shitting on the trade as far as what each team got for it. I just think the trade, again, was stupid as a motherfucker. Like, I don't think you make that trade, and I keep saying it. I'm going to say it every time we bring up this trade. It was just dumb. So I think the organization is really, like, feeling it right now, and hopefully they get well soon. I think they should just tank at this point. I honestly think they just tank.
Even if they do tank, like, what are they hoping to get, Cooper?
They might not get Cooper. They might, you know, depending on how the lottery and all that shit goes.
Yeah.
Like, but tank and get yourself in a good position.
You get Cooper flag, and then maybe start rebuilding around him.
Yeah, shut it down, man. I think shut it down.
That's the best play at this point. Once you lose Kyrie, you lost AD.
AD's coming back. They say he's a couple weeks away,
Uh,
potentially.
I don't, because like you said, the groin injuries are hard to come back from, and obviously we're worried because now you see your boy, or my boy rather,
Who?
LeBron had a groin injury last night.
Oh, yeah.
So now we're looking at, to me,
They say like 1 to 2 weeks away, though.
who,
LeBron.
AD or LeBron?
LeBron.
Okay, we'll see.
You know LeBron
Groin injuries are hard to come back from, man. They're not easy injuries. So I'm looking at that like, all right, maybe you should like hold off. I know you're Mr. Longevity, but let's look at the full scope of what needs to be happening. I know he's like the captain of the team. I know he's important to the whole flow of the offense, but you still got Luka. You still got Austin Reeves.
I mean, it's shitty right now just because the Lakers, they was hot, before last night when they lost to the Boston Celtics.
They lost to the NBA champions, of course.
They got washed by the NBA champs.
They didn't get washed. It was a close match.
They was down 20 at one point.
It was a close match up until the point.
They were down 20 points at one point.
It was a close match up until the point in the third quarter when the shots fell for the Celtics and the shots didn't fall for the Lakers. They couldn't get stops. That happens. People go on runs all the time. But they came back within 4 before the end of the game.
I'm not saying
it wasn't like they wasn't like they could have gave up and then you know what I mean. You get an injury from LeBron. Things kind of broke down more than just they got washed. It was a close game.
I mean, it was a great effort on their part, but I just don't think that like you said, Boston is a whole nother level. Those are the champs. So
yeah, they had home court advantage. They Jason Tatum went for 40. Like they did what they were supposed to do as the NBA champions on home court. Like, but any 7-game series, the first game usually goes to the team that is at home court anyway.
Face of the league. You see that 40 piece?
Oh, now we're going back to that conversation?
Check
episode 52 for that. We ain't going to that conversation.
I'm standing on it.
Listen,
Boston handled them. And not for nothing, you guys know I'm a Luka fan, but he don't really do well when he plays against Boston. Like,
no, he doesn't.
Not to say statistically does well, but I think that Boston they get under his skin.
They rattle him, yes.
They get under his skin a lot, man.
They play great defense. That's what it is.
He was bugging out at one point in the first half, and I'm just watching him like, bro, what are you doing? Like what are you doing? Like trying to play for contact, not getting the calls. It's like, bro, they not calling that shit. Just pull up and shoot that shit over somebody. Like, create some space and shoot that shit. He's going to
have to ball out. And the crazy part about it is he's going to have to be the center of the game if it comes to that. And they're going to double team him, but he's still going to have to find his open man.
They wasn't even double team. It was just one-on-one
shutting him down.
I mean, normal defensive principles, but, they got good defenders. Like,
they do.
Jaylen Brown takes a pride in trying to guard Luka. Like, they got a bunch of people that just throw at him
Drew
to just
Holiday
kind of frustrate
was doing great on that, too. But the switches, they got good lengthy players that's playing defense, but also can make shots on the other end as well. So you're stuck either way between Jaylen, Jason, who got better. I think he got better as a defender as well. But you got Drew Holiday, then you got Derek White, who's good defensively. I'm impressed with his defense.
All defensive team.
You know what I'm saying?
All defensive team.
I'm
Al Horford, as old as his ass is,
he's still
sliding
moving.
His feet out
even though he got caught that one play, he was like, whoa.
Yeah,
he got caught though.
That's gonna happen though.
Yeah,
if you're an active defender, you're gonna get caught at some point.
Yeah, but
players is too good nowadays.
I just look at that game as because I don't like when you just go in and you win because then you get this overinflated sense of confidence. I'm glad they lost. And they got to get exposed for their flaws, so now they can tweak. JJ Redick can still coach this team to a win against the Celtics, in my opinion. I just think that he needs to see where he's lacking and where the team is lacking and work on those aspects. Because once you go into that, to that matchup, you're going to have to play a perfect game front to back. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
If they get to that matchup.
Okay. You know what? I think the way you're talking.
If they get to that matchup.
The way you're talking, you're still going back to episode 52.
And I almost was going to come in here and not walk back my point.
Come on,
my statement. Because I'm not walking it back. I don't think they get into the championship.
Here he goes, man.
But I was going to walk back my point about the initial trade, about them two not being able to play together. Because what I'm seeing,
definitely got that
I think wrong. I have a big enough sample size at this point to actually say that they're working together well. Luka's coming out of his little slump. He's playing better, more like himself, getting more comfortable. He's being able to have more of an impact on the game. From a efficiency standpoint, I'll say.
Mhm.
You know, not to say that he wasn't impacting the game before, but I think he's playing more to Luka's level. You know, it takes a while to get your conditioning back. It takes a while to get your legs back under you. So it takes a while to get your shot back feeling the way that you wanted to. But I'm not mad at what I'm seeing
walk it
with
back.
them
Come
being
on.
together.
Walk it on back.
No, I'll be,
Just walk it on back.
I'm a fair man. I'm a fair man.
Yeah.
And I think LeBron has committed to being less of the dominant ball handler and just letting Luka rock out.
And
I like what
and
LeBron's
it's working
doing.
really well.
He's just literally like running the floor. Luka
Yep.
find me. I'm gonna get up the floor. I'm still, you know, more conditioned, more whatever than a lot of these people.
Almost playing center at some points.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he was almost playing center against that team.
I like LeBron in the pick and roll too.
Yeah.
With LeBron as a screener. I mean, you know, at the one setting the screen, because once he gets the ball with any kind of like advantage as far as numbers wise, because once you get in the pick and roll situations, you're looking to get 2 on the ball so you can get that ball out there quick, and then you're playing, you know, with advantages on the back end. So I do like LeBron in that situation. So I think that is a positive for them, and I like that he's committed to just being like literally a fucking like a wideout, more or less. Like if they get a defensive stop, which they right now playing as one of the best defensive teams in the league over the stretches they've been winning games. You know, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Okay.
You know, we'll see how far it can go, because I do think that, you know, bigs is going to be challenging, and one of the bigs they're going to run into who just put up video game numbers last night.
Well,
if they run into that matchup, it's going to be a thing. You know?
I don't see them having a big problem with that, in my opinion, just because the play styles are different at current. It's going to be a battle of offenses, and I feel like you got your 1, your 2, then your 3, right? You got your first option is your Joker, right? Who's the first option for Lakers? Luka.
Pick a night.
Second option,
Luka or LeBron.
What you gonna go? Who you gonna go with for your second option on the Nuggets?
On the Nuggets?
Jamal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easily.
We got LeBron James. Then you go with the third option.
But the number 1 option is still the best player in the world.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not. But you got the second, third best, where you laying Luka at? 4th, 5th best? Where do you
in
land?
the league or in that series? Or
in the world?
In the world? Top 5.
Top
Easy.
5, right? So you got a top 5 player, 2 top 5. It's to some people's measurement. LeBron James and Luka. Top 10 easy for LeBron James.
I mean, a lot of people got LeBron top 5 in the league right now.
That's what I'm saying.
They got people putting him in the MVP conversation.
Exactly.
I ain't
arguable.
You know, there just yet or at all.
But then you got your third option. That's where it really comes down meats and potatoes.
Russell Westbrook.
Russell's the third option. To me, Austin Reeves.
He's playing well, but I don't know.
You don't put him in the third option category against
I mean, yeah,
Russell
for that
Westbrook?
roster, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying, you know, I would take him over Russ at this point. I don't. I got a lot of things to consider with those two before I decide one of the
I'm
other.
gonna tell, because I'm not saying that Russ is legacy.
And
his
Russ has
greatness.
revitalized his career with that team.
He
And
has.
I like what he's doing
doing
over
his
there.
role perfectly over there.
You
I
know?
like the role he's playing. I like how he's getting the ball, dishing it out. He's doing great. But I'm still gonna choose the younger legs and the more athleticism at current versus the yesteryear version of.
I mean, we'll see.
Russell
That
Westbrook.
could be the matchup.
In that matchup.
It could be the matchup. It could not be. You still got OKC out there still. You know, that is
But
a
I'm thinking
threat.
with the current rankings right now, if they stay in the number 2 spot, who are they gonna play? One of the play-in teams.
The first round? Yeah.
Yeah, first round they're gonna play a play-in team.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nuggets got to play a play-in team as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they'll be.
I'm not saying they're not getting past the first round.
Yeah,
I'm just
we'll
saying
see.
to the finals is
To
a
the
whole
finals is
different thing.
conversation. Yeah, I'll give you that.
But, you know, we'll see how that plays out as we get deeper into the season. Moving on, I guess we'll go for it because we just talked about it with the whole the Jokic thing. Obviously dropped 30, 20, and 20 the other night. First
30,
time
20,
ever
and
been done in the
20.
NBA. Big shout out. Oops, not clickers on that. Wrong button, y'all. Big shout out to Joker. I still maintain that he is the best player in the NBA, and I think he's going out there and proving it on a night-to-night basis, man.
But here's my question,
Mhm.
and I know this is going to be one of those conversations that you're going to have a different opinion than me. I already know. What does value mean? Because does that mean best player?
First, the question we asking, so we'll preface it.
You said the best player. That's what I'm saying.
Who is the MVP? That's what we wanted to get into. SGA or Joker?
But that's what because that's what value. What does value mean? Because I don't understand. And in my opinion, SGA is the most valuable because he's the best player on the best team.
Sure.
To me, the value he brings is equated to him and his team being the best.
My pick is SGA for the MVP.
Right.
If I'm answering the question, my pick would be SGA.
Okay.
This season, especially just because of the way, not that they weren't in the same position last year.
Right.
Had a collapse. Luka tore them apart in the playoffs. That's Luka, though. So we'll see how they mature and go forward this year. But my stance is still SGA is the MVP this year.
SGA
I think
he
got robbed last year, too. So, you know,
Okay.
I would love to see him get it, you know, and not to make it racial, but I like to see someone of color get the MVP,
That's
especially
fair.
when
Everybody
someone
has
who's
their
worthy,
opinion.
Jokic, again, worthy player.
He's
like
already
I'm
got
not
two,
saying,
right?
Right. So I think he's competing against himself now to, you know, get another MVP when you got somebody else who's like right there, you know, in the mix and in the conversation. Not to say that he wasn't last year, but I wouldn't be mad if they went with SGA, and I hope they do go with SGA because he's a dog. Like, he's a dog.
So
I got nothing bad to say about SGA's game. I can if I wanted to sit here and try, I could probably come up with a couple of things, but just off the top, I love SGA's game. He's
great.
he's like that prototype of the old era that I like in today's game, you know. And I love the way he just goes out there and plays the game. And I love the way he he's one of them guys who like once he get going, he's like, I can't get enough. Like he don't take his foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah.
You know, once he gets rolling, he's gonna have the point where he's on 50, like, you know, on watch to put up 50 on any given game once he gets going.
Very efficient, great
efficient,
scorer.
great mid-range player, great handle, wiry, strong. He's not like, you know, frail in any sense, even though he's a little bit slimmer. And I just love what he does, man. Shifty guard, like, you know, the way he plays the game is
he balls out.
He's one of my favorite players to watch. You know, it's a short list of those players, but I can sit there and watch SGA play all day. Just
I've
the
never
way
seen
he
him
goes
play
out there.
live, but yes, I agree with you. He's a phenomenal athlete.
You've never seen an
player.
OKC game? Just
live. I'm saying live, like in person.
Oh, in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah.
But I've seen Joker in person.
Have you?
And yes,
I haven't.
Washington Wizards, he decimated them.
Oh, okay.
This is last season.
That's easy work.
But yeah, right. But I look at that and I say, again, what does value mean? To take a team with, like, if you take away SGA, OKC still has Chet, still can put up numbers, can still be a playoff contending team.
I mean, Chet's not, you know.
I'm not saying anything about Chet negatively. I'm just saying that the way the team plays, I feel like without SGA, they can still, may not be number one, but they can still be in the playoffs. Is the same true for the Denver Nuggets? I don't know. I don't know if Jokic leaves, if they're even playing, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, a case can be made,
right? So when I look at those things,
especially right now with the way the West is, a case can be made that they'll still be, you know, top 8 in the West.
Yeah, that's an iffy bet for me. I'm just saying, if you're looking at value, do you take the value that a player brings to their organization into the equation of what a most valuable player is? Because the value you bring to your organization is something that you can't like really replace that person. Like, if you get rid of Joker off of the Denver Nuggets, I strongly believe that the Denver Nuggets will implode.
I mean,
and
it
that
remains to be seen.
speaks to the value of Joker.
I don't normally like to get into that kind of scenario because there's a lot of what ifs with that, you know.
Right, that's fair.
I like to go off what we're seeing in front of us and what we're looking at as is currently. So,
but if you look at the stats, isn't Joker averaging a triple-double?
Yeah, but again, he's working against history and himself. So, you know.
So we can look at the history of that. He's won multiple and use that against him, but we can't look at the...
At a time, like, people get tired of seeing the same person win over and over. And I think the NBA knows that.
Is that fair?
It goes back to the same shit. I think we spoke about it a long time ago when D Rose won the MVP. They could have gave it to LeBron that year too. They could have gave it to LeBron that year, but someone else had a great season that was worthy and deserving of the award, so they gave it to him. And I think LeBron got the next one after that. So, you know, I'm not mad with seeing somebody else get an opportunity when they're the number one team in the conference. You know,
that's what I'm saying.
with the best player.
I do
I
agree
think
with that.
winning has a big impact on who the award should go to.
I agree with that.
And it's not to say that the numbers aren't like great and stellar for Jokic, and he's doing his thing. So historical numbers. He's one of the best big men in the game ever, I think, at this point, and it's hands down.
That's
If
fair.
you want to argue that, then you might be a hater. So I think that
That's fair.
he's on that path. So I think that we got to give love and respect to him, but at the same time, OKC has done it back-to-back years with being the first, start to finish, pretty much almost the first ranked team in the Western Conference.
Number ones.
That got to count for something when you got someone who's still putting up that level of numbers on that team. Because it's not like it is by committee because they play together as a team, but he's easily the alpha on that team and putting up the numbers to back it. I think he still has the most 50-point games.
He would be like the number one, talk of the town, face of the NBA. He was in a major city.
Yeah, that's small market versus big market, all that other kind of shit. And he's, Canadian, so that's.
No shots to our Canadian viewers. We appreciate you.
We ain't got one view from Canada.
Hey,
no, I'm lying. I take that back. No shades to Canada.
Get nothing. We can talk.
No shades to Canada. No shades to Canada.
We appreciate the Canadians, man.
Unless you Drake, but I'm sorry.
Wow.
Take that back. This is a Drake-free podcast. We ain't gonna get in that at all. No music talk. But
no, but I see that, and I see because now we got even to talk about it because I think. We're talking about greatness. We're talking about MVP most valuable. Isn't LeBron a valuable player?
Most valuable?
What do you equate to value? That's why it's hard for me to value.
Only thing LeBron.
What is your value system
right now is getting healthy, and he's coming off the most valuable moment this week. That's the only thing.
He was at 40 years old. He was the player of the month.
No doubt. Shouts to that.
But to me, that means
outside
something.
of that, only thing we talk about right now is the most valuable moment of the week.
What you mean?
With him and Stephen A.
Okay. And what is your thoughts? Let me hear what you got to say.
I'm opening it up for you.
For me, for what?
You. If you ain't seen it by now, if you ain't heard it by now, you must live under a rock because it literally blew the timeline up. The night it happened into the next day. Went all over. Everybody got their takes out. Everybody said what they said.
I can do a soliloquy.
Social media. They got people who don't even watch sports like that posting about this shit. And that shit makes me a little bit, upset. It was
I can talk.
Women posting about it LeBron, no, never. No. I'm just like, yo, y'all are like.
Let me say something.
So
let me say something.
We're gonna get a little bit of clout off this one, hopefully.
I'm gonna talk. Stephen A. Smith.
You got it, man. The runway is yours.
I've met this man. I think 2 times in my life. He does a lot here in Delaware at the
big HBCU guy.
Chase Fieldhouse for HBCU week. He brought First Take here a couple times. Met him, Molly, Magic Johnson. It was great.
I've seen Stephen A. in Miami. Sorry to cut you off, but
I come from a different era, right? In my time, when I was growing up, right, there's a few things that my mother taught me, right? She said, make sure you have your ass home before the street lights come on, right? And she said that because she wanted to make sure I was somewhere safe before nighttime hit, right? And I understood that, right? She said something else to me that I remember very well, I'm very fond of as well. As she said, if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. Now, I didn't always follow that one. I made sure I came home before the street lights came on, but sometimes I just had to say something. But I always knew if I wrote a check with my mouth and my ass couldn't cash, it was going to be a problem for me. So I was very careful at who I was talking about, what I was talking about, and who was I addressing. And I feel like Stephen A. may not have understood the assignment to a degree because he was talking about LeBron James' son in a way that I feel like he was teetering on a line of disrespect. Now, again, LeBron has spent 22 seasons now getting talked about since day one. They was They was just bad-mouthing this man. But I stand behind him. Look, say whatever you want about me. But when you bring my son into it, now you got to talk to man. You got to talk to me. No, I don't think that doing it in the middle of the game was but as a father, you get emotional. He's operating from emotion because it's his son. Any other man got somebody talking about their son, they're going to be emotional. So, giving credence to that, I do appreciate how Stephen A, went on the show and he spoke about 10 minutes about it. Was opened up, kind of said, if, things were different, blase, he would have moved differently. He wished he would have just called him, things like that. Listen, I don't know these men personally at all, so I can't go call up LeBron James or call up Stephen A. Smith. I'm just saying, I'm in media, I'm learning a lot that you have to be very careful about who and what you say about people because they can take it way worse, and then now you have to answer to that. Just be careful. That's all I'm gotta say. Stephen A., do what you do. You are number one in this media space for a reason. I'm just saying, unless you like getting pressed by grown men, in the middle of you doing your job, I would move a little differently because I know you're not gonna try to squabble up. I know you ain't gonna pop out and show.
That's it.
That's it. That's all I got for him. What's your thoughts? Let me hear something. Sorry, no, you got something.
I'm going to try to handle this with understanding of both sides. My initial reaction
Yes.
was that it was very corny of LeBron.
Oh.
Like, not to pile it on.
Let's go ahead. Let me hear what you got, man.
We often disagree on this LeBron thing.
Facts.
I think it was a little corny from the start. I still think it's a little corny of LeBron from the start and to now. I do understand the whole parenting aspect of it and you feeling that much more sensitive or emboldened about protecting your child because you're a dad. Got all that. Shout to that. I'm a father myself. I know what it's like to be a parent. I know what it's like to care about how your child comes up and all the other shit. So, yeah, I get that. I think we got to look at history, too. And how we got here is the question. How do we get to the point where Stephen A. is getting pressed by LeBron at the game? And you got to look at it from a historical perspective. I'm going to give you a date and a quote, not a quote, a tweet. March 6, 2023. 2025. March, what did they say? March 6th or 7th?
8th.
8th. Today's 8th. Okay.
9th. Excuse me. Sorry.
9th. Okay, my bad. But either way, 2 whole years ago, where was Bronny James?
USC, I think, right?
Yes. 2 years ago. March 6, 2023. Tweet, LeBron James, at King James on Twitter or X, or whatever it was called at that point. Man, Bronny definitely better than some of these cats I've been watching on League Pass today. Lightweight hilarious with 4 laughing emojis behind it. Fast forward. Draft. We know the only reason he's on the Lakers is because he's LeBron James' son.
No.
Yes.
We're not going to go there.
We've determined that already.
That's false.
We've determined that already.
False.
He's determined that already. The only reason he's on the Lakers is because he's LeBron James' son, even so much so that there were other teams that were going to draft Bronny that Rich Paul had to get involved to say nobody's drafting Bronny but the Lakers. So, yes, the only reason he's on the Lakers is because he's LeBron James' son. Because from what I heard or what I understood, the Warriors were going to draft him just as a slight to LeBron, and I forget who else was looking at drafting him, again, just as a slight to LeBron. So the only reason he's on the Lakers is because he's LeBron James' son. So in this situation, I think LeBron has to understand, which I know he does, which makes it even more corny. Like, I get he's your kid, but when you put him in this position, he's going to get talked about when you are the face of the NBA, like we just talked about last episode, for the past X amount of years. He's your son. You said he's a good player enough to be better than some players in the NBA. Came out your own mouth. That's what you said. I think he even doubled down on it when he was being interviewed post-game on one, and I couldn't find a clip for that, which I was looking for it before the pod, and I couldn't find it. But I think he doubled down on it when someone asked him about that shit post-game after a game in the locker room. So you doubling down on how good your son is. He's your son. Your name is going to draw any kind of attention, any kind of views, clicks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put it out there that your son is that and he's not living up to what you say, it is fair for people to critique him as a grown-ass man who's in the NBA. I understand nobody talks about a 50-50 this much, and nobody's got this much attention who's drafted in the second round, blah, 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 whatever. I understand it is for clickbait and all that shit, which is where I do side with LeBron and saying, all right, you're trying to get clicks off my son. Cool. You set it up to be that way, bro. You set it up to be that way, so you can't now get mad when people are doing exactly what they should when you present something to them that's not turning out to be what you said it should be. And my son is better than so many NBA players. He's not. He's not. And to be fair, Stephen A. has never said anything disrespectful about Bronny other than critiquing him as an athlete. And I can even go to play some audio to show what Stephen A. has actually said about his son. And I don't see where this is such a big problem.
Go ahead, play.
See, I'm not getting into Bronny James because none of this is Bronny James' fault. He's just a kid out there working hard, trying to be the best that he can be.
Where's the disrespect?
Who is very blessed and fortunate to have a father like LeBron James.
Where's
who
the
loves
disrespect?
him and had no ill intent whatsoever. See, I'm not getting into Bronny James because none of this is Bronny James'
I might
fault.
be the wrong one. All right. I think this is the right one here. My bad.
Not to be redundant, but it's necessary to be that way. Bronny James doesn't belong in the NBA.
Facts.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Some people say never. I don't believe that. I believe the kid has a chance.
And I think that he's going to
do.
My,
I believe in him. I believe in his work ethic, his faith, et cetera, et cetera.
Where's the disrespect?
But he's not ready yet. Which brings this back to LeBron James.
And we'll leave it there.
So
where is the disrespect? And this is basically Stephen A's. He's echoed pretty much the same points from the time they started covering Bronny. I think he handles Bronny with kid gloves because he knows that's LeBron James' son. He said, not yet. I believe in the kid, whatever. Like, where is the disrespect in anything Stephen A said? I've seen other people who Brian ain't running up and checking say worse things about his son than Stephen A has. So for me, I understand that Stephen A is the face of ESPN. He's the draw. He's the et cetera, et cetera. I get all of that shit. But again, you set it up to be that way, bro. You put your son out there to be scrutinized by the public. You know your voice. You know your impact. You're LeBron James. I'm not trying to hear that you don't think that shit's going to go that far when it comes out of your mouth. Everything you do goes that far when it comes out of your mouth. I mean, you can't even like walk down the street without it being front page news sometimes. Like, you are the guy. You're the guy. So don't open your mouth to put your son in a position to where he has to back up what you're saying rather than just letting the kid grow and be him for who he is, you know? So I do think that LeBron is a little bit off with this one, and I can understand when it makes it seem like Stephen A is coming down at you as a parent and all that other shit. But again, that's me and you, like Stephen A and LeBron, to say that this is your fault. And Stephen A doubled down on that by saying, I have no issue with Bronny. I have an issue with you putting your son in this position, which is exactly what you did. So for you to say, leave my son out of this, whatever, you should have left him out of it from the jump, bro. You should have left him out of it from the jump. If you're talking about writing a check that you're asking cash, he wrote a check that his son can't cash.
That's fair.
And it's not happening yet.
I disagree on a lot of your take. Of your take.
Go ahead.
I can
go right ahead.
Rebuttal piece by piece. So again, you know, the overanalyzation of what LeBron says is kind of like a byproduct of our society. We look at LeBron James through a fine, you know, lens. Like, we gotta just microscopic look at everything he does, doesn't do, said, didn't say, how he said it, when he said it, when. And I think sometimes
he's earned that by being the guy.
No,
historical greatness.
That.
So
I understand that.
There's no shade on him as a player. He's earned that.
But when that happens, it causes these like microcosms of moments where you're like, oh, every time he tweets, it's a then a overanalyzed thing that can be then used 2 years later for a conversation here and now in the podcast.
It don't just happen to him.
When you look at the grand scale, I got a video and audio I want to play. We're talking about Bronny James in the eyes of, I guess, Stephen A. Smith, who's been analyzing the league for so long, right? He's been in this game for so long, but somehow he's able to dissect, diagnose, and critique Bronny James. But what is he talking about any other second round 55th pick ever? No, he's not. And what I see with Stephen A is he has a choice because his platform is that it is. He can choose to talk about whatever he wants to talk about. And what he chooses to talk about is LeBron James's son. At some point, you have to then say, why is it that the number one show on ESPN is choosing to bring up my son and saying whether or not that person belongs in the league?
Because that's what people want to hear.
But again, he still has a choice he can make with his platform. And I'm saying, if we're looking at the reason why he was drafted, maybe the Lakers chose Bronny James because he was the best choice. And I have something to support that. I got an audio too. We got audio. I got audio. Here's my audio. Okay, here we go. Hold on. We're gonna play this. We're gonna play this. We're going to
draft LeBron's son. He went 55th overall. There was 58 players selected in total. So there's 3 main players the Lakers picked him over. You know, all the nepotism allegations. Heated discussion this week. Spoiler, this is bad news for the haters. How's Bronny doing? Here's his NBA stats. You know, not great, not a lot of playing time, but in the G League, my boy's kind of cooking. 21.9 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Let's compare him to Kevin McCullough Jr., who fell to 56 because the Lakers took Bronny. Kevin McCullough Jr. has no NBA playing time yet. His G League stats, 9.6 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Well, Bronny's is way better. Also, Bronny is 3 years younger than Kevin McCullough Jr. The next player drafted at 57th was Ulrich Shamshay. Ulrich's G League stats. Here's Bronny's again. Ulrich is 8 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, 1.3 assists. Point to Bronny. Actual NBA production, Bronny has Ulrich beat there as well. And number 58, Mr. Irrelevant, Ariel Hoop-Pody. In the G League, he's averaging 7.3 points per game, 7 rebounds, 0.5 assists.
Cool.
Again, point to Bronny. Man, tough data for all the nepotism crowd, the haters.
What is the?
All I'm saying,
that proves nothing.
It proves a lot. We're saying that they overlooked so many great players that could have been in the league. The players that got drafted right after them ain't even outperforming the ball. Let the ball cook.
But we're talking about G League players.
But this is what I'm trying to. The point I'm trying to make.
Nobody said Bronny didn't belong in the G League.
But the point I'm trying to make is drafted. He got drafted by the Lakers because he was the best option at the time.
I don't believe that.
How do you? The evidence shows it. You just saw the evidence that the players that are playing alongside Bronny James in the G League are performing worse.
You're talking about people that were drafted after him.
I know, but they would have been drafted before him if he didn't get drafted then. They were the options. They were the other options. What I'm trying to say is we keep putting this kind of spin on it, like the Lakers chose him because of LeBron James. But what if he was maybe just the best option in the second round as the 55th pick? It wasn't that much of a long shot that he wasn't a valuable player at that price point. Now, in terms of him being on the roster to play alongside his father, that can be something that you can spin towards that. But that's not why he got drafted.
Spin. That's what it is.
But I'm saying that's not why he got drafted.
The man said, I want to play with my son in the NBA.
There's two different things happening.
There's no way you can convince the majority of people that once LeBron James says, I want to play with my son in the NBA, and he ends up on the Lakers roster, that it doesn't happen because LeBron is his dad.
But LeBron,
fuck the stats.
LeBron being like, so you're saying that his playing ability had nothing to do with it. You act like he just worked at Starbucks last week and he said, yo, come here, son. You're going to be in the league. No, he's actually performing good. So he's crucified. He's crucified if he performs well. He's crucified if he doesn't perform well.
He's not crucified if he performs well. He's not crucified if he performs well. Nobody said anything negative about him performing well.
But the problem is he's not even given that he earned his spot. You're saying that he didn't earn his spot when he's putting up numbers better than the people.
Spot. He's making the most out of the opportunity, but I don't think he earned his spot.
So the other people didn't earn their spot either then. Because they're worse than him.
They had better resumes coming into the draft than Bronny did.
What do you? Oh, okay, so your
that is earning your draft
So your
spot.
resume is proving that you're
yes, your resume is what gets you drafted in the NBA.
Did he not go to the NBA Combine and perform and make his shots and do what he had to do? Did he not show up?
He showed up, yes.
That's what I'm saying.
And after the Combine, everyone was like,
Not everybody was like that. But again,
he's a great defender. He can't shoot the ball that well. He's a great passer. He has great IQ, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
you're looking at it from
was the general consensus about Bronny before he got drafted.
You're looking at it from a perspective like he was going to be a first-round draft pick. As a second-round 55th pick, I think he fell right where he needed to. Right where he needed to.
I still stand by the point there were other players that could have been drafted.
I don't know who, because the players that got drafted after him are dog.
There's a bunch of different things that go into how well people play. And again, the argument is not about him being a G League player. He could have gotten a G League without being fucking drafted. Like, he didn't need to get drafted and get paid $4.8 million to get into the fucking G League.
But he's not a household name. Does his jersey not sell? Like,
why?
Because he's LeBron James' son.
All right.
Yeah.
So it still goes back to the point that the only reason he's in the position he's in now is that he's LeBron James' son. Yes, he's putting up numbers now in the G League. Respect to the hard work that he's put in.
Yeah.
And I'm not shitting on that. But he's making the most out of an opportunity that was given to him because of the name, not because of what he did leading into it.
No, we can go back to just the name, not just the name.
Bro, we can go back to the high school All-American game. There's a lot of people that feel slighted because Bronny James averaging 14 points was an All-American. When there's never been an All-American in the history of the McDonald's All-American game who averaged 14 points. Like,
I mean, we don't really talk about high school sports on this podcast, but
we just did last podcast, and we talk about it again right now. So we going up to the resume leading up to the draft. He got drafted. Cool. You're in the G League now. You're getting all the best game and all the best guidance from the top guy in the league and all the other shit. So, yeah, some of that shit should trickle down to where you're a decent enough player to average 20 in the G League if you have some potential. Some potential. And, again, he has to put in the work to be able to get to that point because his first few G League games was not good. So, shouts to the work that he's put in to get to the point where he can be a good player on a G League roster. NBA player, I don't think so.
All I'm saying
when
is
your dad says you're better than players in the NBA back then before you was even drafted.
Bro, what's the longest job you've ever had?
Professional basketball player.
And that was what, 15 years?
10 years.
10 years? 10 years. Put a dime up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you work consistently for 20 some odd years, day in, day out, no days off, clocked in, did everything you were supposed to, high performer, did everything. You can't get a coffee maker. You can't get a pizza party every once in a blue moon. You can't get your son a job. Like, I've done everything I was supposed to do.
There's a lot of people, and I've backed off my original stance, and I still feel that way somewhat, but just not as strongly. I'm not even mad that he got his son drafted.
He didn't get him drafted. That's my
He got his son drafted.
That's fine.
We can agree to disagree.
My
position,
yeah.
I'm not even shitting on the fact that he uses influence to get his son in the league. My stance is shut your fucking mouth and let your son do what he has to do and stop putting the spotlight on him. Because I guarantee if it had not been so much hoopla about him getting drafted and, oh, I want to play with my son and, oh, my son is better than blah, 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 whatever, and people in the league right now, it looks a lot different with his son getting drafted and just having the opportunity to grow and flourish on his own rather than you putting a bullseye on the kid's back and then getting mad when people are critiquing him. You did that, LeBron. You did that.
That's a different take. That's a different take.
It's not a different take. There's been people that said it. He's the one that put his son on that pedestal to then be criticized, crucified, all the shit that's negative. Like, you did that. You can get your kid the job and not make as much of a, like, blah, 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 blah with your mouth about it. Like, bro, all you had to do was quietly get him in the league because you're LeBron. You don't need to go out there in public and say all those things to make sure he gets drafted. Do it and shut the fuck up and let him just actually play and grow like he's doing now on his own. But when you put all that out there, then early on in the season when he's not doing that well, people are going to start talking about it, bro. Like, it came out of your mouth. You're the guy. Everyone's looking at you. Like, you know that, LeBron. Like, you know what your influence is. You're a fucking billionaire. You've been the face of the NBA for so long. When you open your mouth, when you do and say anything, is going to get looked at with a microscope. So knowing that, move a little bit more discreetly about the things that you're saying to put your family in a position to where they could be looked at in a negative light as well. To then be running up on people at the game saying, keep my son name out your mouth, whatever. Like, bro, you put it out there. You put it out there into the public forum, knowing this is the clickbait era, knowing that people are going to talk about that shit because it's attached to LeBron. And Stephen A., yes, he can talk about any other fucking thing on the show that he wants to, but you don't get to being a number one on First Take for X amount of years. So now where he signed a $100 million contract because now he's the guy at ESPN, you don't get to that point by not doing your job, which is talking about what people want to hear.
That's fair.
So Stephen A. has a job to do. I respect it. And again, I think he's tried to handle the LeBron thing with kid gloves because he does respect the fact that that is someone's son. And even if he might not like LeBron, he's also said that I'm going to handle this as fairly as possible. Or he's tried to at least. And again, I've heard a lot of other people say worse things about Bronny than Stephen A. has on platforms, on podcasts, on interviews.
You might have said it yourself.
Damn right. For real. Damn
I'm just
right.
saying, dog.
Damn right. Yeah. And then LeBron pull up on me like that, we're going to have a conversation.
Listen,
Because
let's
I'm
not
not
go
letting
there.
it go
Let's not
without
go there.
a real conversation from there. And
Let's
to
not
me,
go
when you do
there.
that shit at the game, it's like that shit is for clickbait too, because you're doing this shit in a public forum just because he's right there. Like, handle that shit after the game, bro. Handle that shit after the game. Let the buzzer go off. Yo, Stephen A., let's go talk, bro. Because now, again, you being LeBron, you know it's going to create a buzz that you do it. You're standing next to Stephen A. in an arena full of people. What you think the first thing people are going to do? Pull out their fucking cameras because they know the vibe. Like,
I do agree with that, but I think that he react off emotion. I think that he's allowed to do that as well.
emotionally intelligent.
I think when you have someone like a Stephen A. Smith, I don't think Stephen A. Smith is going to go to fisticuffs with anybody.
Nah,
with
it ain't that.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I just don't think that's who he is anyway. But again, you have someone like Stephen A. Smith where he has a bigger bark than a bite. So it's almost like yo, I just, you're here right now, and the way just looking at your face is making me feel a certain kind of way. So he had to pop
And
up
I
and
don't
show.
even think that shit was the end of the game, too.
No,
I think it was
wasn't.
halftime.
It was like sometimes you got to pop up and show. And I think that's one of the moments where LeBron had to pop up on him and say, yo, watch your mouth, yo. I don't like get all that foo-foo bull. Like, watch your mouth. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Because it's my son. My son is 19, 20 years old. He's not me. I like when he came, think about when LeBron came in the league. He didn't have anybody to advocate. They was talking. They was talking horribly about him.
LeBron got a lot of love when he came in the league.
What are you talking about?
LeBron's
His own teammates was hating on him.
Who?
The first before he played his first game, everybody in the locker room was hating on LeBron James when he came into the league. I don't see as a high school kid can come in here and think he can make a difference to an NBA team. This is different. We professionals. We got people that play the position and do the. They were talking trash about LeBron his first came in the league.
Okay.
And he still withstood
and he had
it.
to prove himself because LeBron came with a lot of buzz.
And he did what he had to do.
But even coming into the league, he got a lot of fucking love that first year. LeBron never started getting flack until he did that shit and went to Miami.
That's cap.
Like,
That's
outside
straight
of the early proving stages of like him making himself a player in the NBA, outside of that, he got a lot of love until he went to fucking Miami. And that changed the whole perspective on LeBron when he jumped ship and left.
It's going to turn into a whole LeBron MJ debate.
I ain't got that much more time.
No, we done. I was just saying, like, we both have a difference of opinion on that, Stephen A. Smith. But now we're in media as well. Do we have to use kid gloves? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is once you put it out there and you tell people your son is this, and that, knowing the impact, the influence, the name that you carry, then I think it's fair game.
So we're going to go all out. Okay.
And it ain't going all out. I've said positive. I wish the kid the best. The kid came off of a very traumatic situation, heart shit. Like, I refer back to whatever fucking episode that was. Like, I don't think he's a bad kid. I don't think he's a terrible prospect. I think that he can grow into being a good player in the G League like he's doing now. I don't know if I see that shit in the NBA. My perspective.
Yeah, your verdict's still out for you.
My own perspective, because I haven't seen it in the NBA, and I don't like to operate off of this guy is going to be so great. I was just having a conversation with someone about Cooper Flag the other day, and it was like, yo, Cooper Flag, whatever. I'm like, I'll wait and see.
You
Like,
like
what?
Cooper Flag? What did he
I
do?
like Cooper Flag, but again, I'm not crowning people before they go out there and
We're not
earn that
crowning
shit
anybody. We're not crowning anybody. We're just saying that they're performing well.
on the college level.
But the college level is damn near professional now because you got most players.
No.
You just saying in the last episode how we got 24, 25-year-old players that are no longer high school players are getting.
The percentage of people on the college level that can last in the NBA is very small.
That's always been the case.
Right.
But what I'm
so
saying
that
is,
doesn't make it they getting paid now, they getting money now, they doing all that shit now. So yeah, super solid about what's going on as far as the influx of revenue into the college game, so the players are benefiting from it. Some of these dudes, if you put them on the NBA roster right now, they wouldn't be able to sniff the court. Like, and that's just being honest. So I don't think that the college level is the NBA level, like being a professional. I think
I'm saying
they're
G League though.
What you mean?
I was comparing the college to the G League level.
G
I
League
feel like
too.
the G League and college level are getting closer.
I don't think so. Nah.
You don't think so?
Hell no.
Interesting.
Hell no. I think there's a lot of players in college that if you put them on a G League roster, they wouldn't be able to sniff the floor as well.
Somehow,
And they making
Bronny
more money,
James-
and they making more money than players in the G League right now.
Bronny James is performing really well out there. I'm just saying that's an interesting point.
Sure, G League, G League.
That's what
not
I'm saying.
The NBA. Not the
That's
NBA.
what I'm saying. though. He's doing better than the college players. Then if that by your definition.
I never said that he couldn't be a good enough G League player. So
All right,
I'm still
all right.
saying that he's working himself into being good in the G League. So yeah, shouts to that.
All right.
NBA is a whole different ballgame though.
We'll see.
And you know, my perspective, just on the closing, is that again LeBron set it up for that. So, you know, everyone can differ in their opinions. I see a lot of people going back and forth, and parents. But at this point in time, when your kid is old enough, you're there to help them and protect them. But yo, you're a man now. You're a man now. I'm here to have your back if you fall, but you're a man now. Go out there and prove. Like, that's that. You know, I think when parents get too involved, when kids get to a certain level, then it looks like you babying the kid, like literally.
Speaking of babies, I know we're supposed to be pivoting to another topic regarding babies and
Yeah, your man Ant.
my man. Why you my man?
Your man Ant.
Nah, I told you I ain't want those those A1s. What's it called? AE1s. I ain't want them shoes. Remember? But supposedly Ant.
It just goes back to. Go ahead. You can roll it out.
You roll it out. Yeah. Supposedly Anthony Edwards, supposedly another face of the league, right? Is giving up his rights.
I have the.
Am I saying that correctly?
I have the actual post here.
The
so
way,
I'll
yeah,
read it.
read it out, lay it out for him because I think it's crazy to me how.
Minnesota's Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards has formally declared that he does not wish to seek custody visitation rights of his 4-year-old daughter, Aubrey, according to Yahoo Entertainment. Edwards has been entangled in a legal dispute with his ex-partner, Aisha Howard, over child support. A recent court ruling sided with Edwards, granting his motion to move the case out of California, which is a whole other thing, blah, 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 whatever. But Edwards asserted that Howard had actually been residing in Georgia. Oh, that's more about the where the case went. But basically, without going too long with it, he said he don't want shit to do with the kid outside of just, financial.
Yeah.
To me, it goes back to what I said last week about why Ant shouldn't be the fucking face of the league. Like, and Ant, I'm a fan of his as a player. Like, still a fan of his as a player. So I'm not taking anything away from him on the basketball court. There was some shit floating around, and I'm getting ahead of myself. But either way, I'm not changing my stance on him as a player, but as a person, he's an immature motherfucker. Like we're just being 100% honest. Like, immature. Like, so no, you can't really be the face of the league when you're moving around and you got dirt coming out where, you asking chicks to take pills to where they got to send you the video so you know that they took the pill because you got her pregnant. Like, and now you are giving up custody to your child, like, and I have I got a daughter. So for me, my perspective as a parent is you put your dick in somebody, you have a child with them, then step up to the plate and do what you got to do. Did she trap him? There's that side of it. He never wanted to have a kid with her. She kept the baby, all the other stuff. Yes, I get that. But before that even happens, bro, put on a fucking condom. Like, put on a fucking condom so you ain't in that position again, because it's not the first time he's in this position with a woman and a child, you know? Not every chick is going to go for the abortion once you a dumbass and you get them pregnant when they're trying to trap you. Protect yourself. Like, protect yourself, protect your image by not even having to be wrapped up in this kind of shit. And now you look crazy to a lot of people because you're giving up custody of a child. And do what you want to do with your life. So I'm not saying that, you know, if that's how you really feel, that's your stance, go ahead. But for me, when it comes to kids being involved and you being a stand-up man and doing what the fuck you got to do for that child, then it looks a little different to me. Because that child, you might be able to be there financially and make sure she has all the money to take care of the kid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you ain't there as a dad, too.
You ain't there.
And that's a story that she's going to have to tell her daughter, because you're only being the financial backing for it now, from basically from what you're saying, about why she doesn't have a relationship with her father. You know? It's messy. It's messy as fuck.
It's too messy.
And I hate that shit for young niggas, because a lot of young
fault.
niggas just move with, again, they thinking with the wrong head. Like, you're thinking with your dick, you're thinking in the moment.
Come on now.
And you're thinking very short term and just not very sound mentally when it comes to things like that.
I mean, we said this on the podcast before, and I think it was one of our titles of our episodes, wasn't it?
Dick discipline. We was
Dick
talking about
discipline.
Ant. Yeah.
Yep. Dick discipline.
I went back and I checked.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, I look at this entire landscape, because I think this is funny, because a mother recently went viral because she put his shoes back and said,
That was where I was going next.
yeah, and basically was like, oh, don't buy,
because he don't take care of his kids.
He don't take care of his kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole nother can of worms, because I don't. How do we judge and grade our these players?
Did you see what the baby mom Aisha
Yeah,
Howard said about
she
it?
defended him. Yeah, she defended him.
So shouts out to having a solid baby mom, because she could have took that opportunity to drag your ass too.
Yeah,
but she stood up for you.
She was basically saying that you shouldn't grade him as a basketball player off of his off-court situation.
Right.
That's two different worlds. But I don't know if people can separate. Me, I don't separate it. Who you are off the court plays into a factor of what kind of person I see you as on the court. And you could be the best basketball player in the world, but you'll never be able to be the greatest if your off-court antics don't match up to what I feel people should aspire to be, or people feel, they should support and things like that. Anthony Edwards is very young. So he's doing things from that mindset, on that level of maturity that probably isn't gotten there yet. But this is not a problem just for Ant. This is a problem in our community, our society.
Facts.
Like, there's a reason why OnlyFans is a multi-billion-dollar business. There's a reason why, every freaking, I feel like every ad on a television is Prize Picks, and they want you to either, have your Johnson in your hand, or have you focusing on gambling and other vices, drinking. They just want to keep your brain locked in on things that are distractions. I don't make it like I see as every woman is every like baby mom, somebody that's somebody's mother. You know what I mean? That in olden days you usually married a woman that you had a child with. That's somebody's wife in a way. I try to look at it from that perspective, and I don't want nobody talking about me and mine. Listen, Aunt, my piece of advice, 2 cents that you didn't ask for. I look at it like this, brother. You are in a peak position because you are a top-notch athlete, top-tier finance guy. Financially, you get making the most money, probably generational money.
Sprite, Adidas.
You making generational money.
Chipotle.
Do not allow people to continue to take bites from that apple that you've been gifted, brother. Because it is very crucial that you protect your legacy. And you don't want to be seen as the dude with 13, 14 baby moms and don't take care of his kids, and because it all ties in. And you may be the greatest basketball player. You may get 19 championships. But all people will remember you for is those antics and the things outside of that, because they're going to look at you and grade you off of the lack of support that you've shown your family. And your family will look at you in that way too, because how do you explain to your kids, oh, I couldn't be there for you because I was going getting championships. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do, so I gave up my rights to you so I can go and get these championships.
I don't even think it's that, though.
I'm just saying, but to tell that to the kid.
He not going to tell it to the kid because he wants nothing to do with the kid.
That's what I'm saying.
He's
though.
mad he got her pregnant and she didn't abort the baby. So now he don't want to fucking.
But you understand how that maturity level wise, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's an immature motherfucker mentally when it comes to that kind of shit. Like, and yes, it is a horny ass world. They got all the baddies, they got tits, they got ass, they all over the place. They look good. You want to do them. Yeah, put on the rubber, bro. Like, put on the rubber when you are that successful. Like, you're that successful. Because now, again, it takes his baby mom having to defend him to people saying, like, yo, I'm not buying his shoe because I'm not buying you his shoe, as saying to our son because he don't take care of his kids. Like, you putting yourself in those kind of positions. And again, it's repeatedly now. It's multiple instances.
How many baby moms he got now?
I don't even know. I don't get into all that. I'm just getting I'm just being
figure it
shown what's presented. I know he got one with the girl that was on the starting five shit. I know he has the one with the girl, Aisha Howard now, Aubrey or whatever. So I'm not even sure. But I know it's been too messy with him the last couple years or whatever, with him his dealing with women's and how he keeps getting them pregnant. Like, he keep getting them pregnant.
Three different women.
Pull out, bro. Pull out. The nuts still feel good outside of the box. Like, bro, like, pull out. If you ain't gonna put a rubber on, pull out, bro. Like, it's a lot safer. Like,
I ain't gonna touch that one.
and I know they probably talking to you like, yeah, whatever.
Hey,
Yeah, that's what they do when they see a mark. Like, when they see a mark, they're gonna talk to you crazy so that you insert yourself and release in there so that the chances of them getting pregnant are higher. You have to protect yourself. And I'm looking at you in the face, because I hate seeing this shit happen to young niggas who got the bag already, bro. Like, because then you're going to have to spend some of that bag on texts, because you keep getting texts and they keep finding your ass for shit you're doing in the league. I think he's like millions in debt for not in debt, but he's had to pay millions to the league for fines already. And now you got to pay child support or just financial shit dealing with kids, multiple kids and all that other shit. The kids that you don't necessarily want, bro. Protect yourself. Like, you got to be fucking smarter than that.
This
like,
is an old story. We all seen Love and Basketball.
Sure. And if it's such an old story, you should have enough of a history to pull from to say, I'm not putting myself in this position. Especially when you get into the bag, bro. Especially when you get into the bag. You know?
Yep.
Like, you're not smart when it comes to women and pussy. Like, it's just how it is. So you got to wisen the fuck up and stop putting yourself in these positions, bro. Like, do something different. Because every chick ain't going to get the abortion. They're not. A lot of them want the kid because they know you're going to have to pay the bag, and they're not going to spend all that money on the kid. They're going to take some of it for themselves, and ain't shit you can fucking do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So protect yourself. Refer back to last episode when I said all chicks ain't worth the dick. Like, they're not. You got to be a little bit more disciplined and a little bit more aware of your status, your level, and the shit that can pull you off of that pedestal because of decisions you make in your personal life. You know? And that's just as nicely as I could put it. I know I went hard, but again, I hate seeing this shit with young niggas because they move stupidly when it comes to women and they just insert themselves in whatever, and then they get mad at the chick for not having an abortion. It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. You should be smarter and not put yourself in that position to where now you got to have a conversation with a girl and she say, nope, I'm keeping it. And ain't shit you can do about it at that point. Her choice, her body, her everything. Like, no, you're not going to tell her to get the abortion if she doesn't want it. And now look at what you got to deal with. You know? So for me, just be smarter, man. I want that shit for all the young niggas, not even who's on ant level. Just be fucking smart as a man, bro.
Yep.
Like, as a man.
It's your responsibility as a man, yeah.
And now you got a kid out here who's going to have some kind of level of issues going forward with, you know, the strain about how she doesn't have a father there for whatever reason because he's doesn't want to be in her life, you know?
Yep.
So
it changes a lot of things, and you know, we ain't got to get that deep with it, but I know we're going to talk about a lot to deal with parents and things as we transition to our next topic, because I feel like when it comes to having kids, being a father, relationships, all of this, I think in our community we just don't have the most talked about role models in that regard, right? I feel like in our community, a lot of these guys that are affluent, that are making a lot of money, that speak the loudest and have the biggest and most prominent voice are moving in a different way that is that of the traditional, family unit mentality, right? You got the futures, multiple baby moms, no marriage, out here moving. Not saying bad, good, better, and different. That's just not, if that's not the model I want to, my child, now that I'm a father
Yeah,
now,
you
right?
married, you out the
Yeah,
game already.
that ain't
so,
the added the mindset that I want my child to have, right? Or we're looking at Nick Cannon, another individual.
mad baby
Anthony
moms, mad
Edwards,
kids.
Anthony Edwards, another individual.
I ain't putting it in Nick Cannon's category.
He's the top. He's the top of people that
Nick
do
Cannon actually seems like he tries to be there for his kids.
Okay, he is trying to be there for his kids. I'm not even saying he's not, but I'm saying the issue isn't the kids and trying to be there for him. The issue is having multiple baby moms, having multiple women, and not being in that traditional marriage structure. Our community doesn't have that Michelle Obama, Barack Obama role model-esque outlook too often promoted. We don't have it promoted. We may have it there. We had sprinkled around, but it's not the promoted thing. Even Neo.
I mean, sure.
Neo doesn't have that structure.
He was next on the board, and Neo's another one with mad kids and mad baby mom. Seven kids,
yep.
Again, another person who just can't put a rubber on, or pull out. I don't know what be wrong with these niggas, man. I don't know. They just be so sexually motivated that they just throw all kind of sense out the window when it comes to just laying down and with a woman. To me, it just don't make sense. It don't make sense. It don't. And you might have all the money in the world to support the kids, but bro, I'm not stretching myself thin and having 5, 6, 7 kids. I've been on this camera talking shit saying I don't even want another one because I don't even got enough of myself to spread around like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tricky when it comes to that, man. And Neo, I don't know. I'm gonna try to keep it respectful because Neo is an artist that I do respect for his, contributions to the R&B game, and someone who I feel like is trying to be the best version of him, whatever that means to him.
Yeah.
And I respect a guy that says that he can't be with one woman and chooses not to. I do respect that. So that is what it is on that note. But for me, when it comes to Neo, I just think that in general, you got to be careful when you got kids already in this world and you putting certain things out in front of them to where, you might look a certain way when they're old enough to understand what's going on, and especially when you got bitter baby moms who are the ones that are out here talking a bunch of shit about your lifestyle, the whole polyamorous things and the 4 girlfriends and, all of that, so.
Yeah, it's a whole different can of worms.
It is.
I can't see.
It is.
Never mind. I'm not even gonna touch it because that's gonna.
And sorry to cut you off, but one of his baby moms had a long post about that shit. Because what he said on one of the interviews, and we ain't got time to pull it up, and I ain't gonna go searching for it. But basically, how he keeps it open and honest with his kids about his lifestyle to say that, yeah, I got 4 girlfriends, and now she's gonna make you pancakes. She's gonna help you make the bed, that kind of shit. One of the baby moms saw that shit and she went off online. Now you playing around, bro, because I told you already about playing with my kid and our kids, in my face, that kind of shit, And yeah, if you want multiple girlfriends, if that's the lifestyle you want to live, go for it, bro. It's a different world. I ain't telling nobody how to live their life. I'm just saying when you got kids in the mix, you got to handle that shit with a certain level of
tact.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tact.
Mm-hmm.
That is the word that is the most operative word in that situation, and live your life, bro. Live your life. But I do think it looks very messy when your name is out there for now having 4 women and people don't really know what the scenario is to why you got 4 women. It was another piece of an interview, him saying he's basically has an open agreement with all of them that he's not asking them to be his girl. They sign up for it. And he says yo, if you're down for this, then, this is what it is. If you're down for this, this is what it is. And here's the rules we got to abide by when that comes to that point. And he said they all signed up for it. So sure, if you like it, I love it, bro. But when it comes to kids and then you dealing with, it's mixy. It's mixy.
Yeah. I guess in my youthful and immature state, I would say, oh yeah, that'd be amazing. But in terms of where I'm at now and the maturity level I'm at now,
Yeah, I ain't got that
would
much
be
of myself spread
that would
around.
be so
Not in that way.
taxing.
And not with 4 women
It
at
would
the
be
same time in the same
daunting.
room.
I would just like, what am I? What? And now here's my question: are they open too?
No.
So it's closed on their end,
Yeah.
open on his.
According to what he said, they are faithful to him, but they understand that he's with all of them.
Oh, so
they can't fuck around, basically.
But they can do things with each other?
I mean, I'm sure they're getting down like that. Like,
Oh,
I don't know for sure, but basically he
yeah.
said in the interview that they are agreeing to exclusivity with him, but he is not agreeing to exclusivity with just the one of them. And they signed up for it.
And it's all he's with all 4 of them.
All 4 of them.
Yeah, that sounds taxing.
Yeah, but
hey, if he's happy,
you like it, I love it, man.
I'm gonna not say anything. That's all I can say.
You like it, I love it,
my mama
man.
said, you ain't got nothing good to say.
Like
I'ma let
Kendrick
him have it,
said, just
man.
keep making me dance and wave my hands, and it won't be like whatever. Like, that's all I can say, man. Y'all live
Won't
your
be
life.
no smoke with me,
Y'all
man.
live your life, man. You
Yeah,
know.
man.
But before we get out of here, man, we'll go real talk real quick. Real talk comes today off of it's like sad kind of situation, actually, involving a parent, and then some things happen. So trying to find the article that I read on it. Headlight. No, we good. Headlight. Father convicted of shooting youth football coach over son's lack of playing time. A Missouri father was convicted of shooting a youth football coach over a son's playing time. Darrell Clemens, 45 years old, shot Shaquille Lattimore, 34 years old, 5 times near a St. Louis practice field where young players were nearby. Prosecutors said Clemens was furious over son's limited time on the field. Both men were armed, but Lattimore handed off his weapon for a fistfight. Clemens refused and opened fire. So basically, the dude he shot said, "I bet, let's get a fair one in. Now I'm gonna shoot you," over his son's lack of playing time. So for me, the real talk today goes to parents interfering in youth sports. And this is an extreme example, but there are a lot more less serious examples of it. And I think that parents have to be in a position to let their kid fail sometimes. Like, because ain't no way that I'm risking my freedom to shoot a coach over my kid's lack of playing time. That's a conversation that we got to handle in the house. And yes, there are coaches who may not like your kid. Yes, there's coaches who may favor someone else over your child, so whether they get more playing time than your kid, and that's just a scenario that you have to deal with, And going back to my personal experience, because I can only draw my life, and even goes back to last episode when we were talking about my time in Marquette. Like, my father, who was very, very heavily involved in my basketball career as a high school, leading into college, and even on the early parts of my professional career, which we're talking about on this podcast before, like, he's been in the point where he's like, bro, you got to figure that shit out. Like, do you want to transfer? When I wasn't getting playing time like that my freshman year, thinking I should have had a little bit more or that I was earning a little bit more than I was getting, literally had a conversation with him. What do you want to do? Do you want to transfer? Do you want to but I'm not going up there and I'm bucking at your coach because, of this situation. You chose to go to that school, and this is a little bit, of a more adult example because I made my choice as a 18, 19-year-old kid going to a school.
Right.
I chose there. We had to cut the conversation together. But, when it got to like, bro, what's going on with your playing time? It's like, all right, bro, figure it out. What are you not doing that's not getting you that playing time? Do you feel like you're just a freshman and they're just upperclassmen? So, that's the reason they're playing with more than you, which part of that was that.
Yeah.
And me just frustrated as a young nigga in there, like, yo, I want to play. Bro, I'm not interfering. You got to deal with that quote unquote failure to then work harder and put yourself in a better position to get out there on the court,
Facts.
And I think on the youth level, we as parents, and we talk about this parent shit a lot, from LeBron to Neo to Ant, like all that other, like, this is the parent episode, I guess. But from the youth level, I think you have to get your kids used to a healthy level of failure. Because if you try to step in too much, too early in their life, then they're going to always expect that to happen anytime something goes wrong for them. And they just look over their shoulder like, Mom, Dad, where y'all at? Come fix this shit for me. Like, kids don't never get used to fixing their own problems when you always are jumping in and stepping in to kind of be the voice for them as far as what they should be getting, what they should earn, and what they should have. To me, as a parent, you got to assess the situation. Who's coaching your kids? Do they know a lot about the game? Do they understand the game? And sometimes you're not going to have the best understanding of that as a parent too, especially if it's a sport you didn't play.
Yeah.
So I do get that part of it, but at the same time, monitor the situation, but also get used to your kids being able to overcome adversity, because when they get older and you're 18, 19, 20, and you got to handle that shit by yourself, they're not in a good position to do it if you've been doing that shit the whole life for them, you know?
Yeah.
And again, this is an extreme example, very like serious shit that's going on. I'm not shooting a coach, you know?
No.
And we've seen shit like that
No
before.
excuse
Like
for
we
that,
know
man.
who this, like, not the best example in period, but Diddy when he beat up his son's football coach in college and all that shit. Like, you know, that kind of shit to me is like, bro, like, be a parent, yes, but don't interfere with the institution or the organization or the team and all that shit to where your kid is playing. Remove them if you need to remove them, and you make the choice that that's the best decision for them to go forward. But you got to let your kids fail sometimes. Michael Jordan, we just talked about that shit last episode. He got cut his first time going out for the high school team. Look what that created. Best player of all time, by my opinion.
Okay.
This ain't that kind of argument, but you know, the right amount of adversity will then catapult your kids to do great things with your support behind them to say, I believe in you, you got this, there's another way to go about this whole situation, whether it's on another team, whether it's you working harder, but I'm not about to sit there and be the voice for you all the freaking time. I think as parents, you got to hold that shit in your pocket for when it's actually really necessary, and then deal with the things you need to in-house with your kid. Like, there's a healthy level of failure and with all individuals. And the more you get used to it early, to where kids don't think that anytime something goes wrong, that it's just supposed to go the right way, and that they can, like, long story short, man, just let your kids fail sometimes. Just let them fail. It's healthy. It breeds character. It breeds what's the word I'm looking for? Resilience, excuse me. It breeds character, it breeds resilience, and it breeds a bunch of things that's going to make them better as adults. And don't be pulling out guns on your kid's coach or shooting them, because now you're in a whole nother fucking level of trouble, you know? But again, extreme example. But the real talk today, let your kids fail sometimes. Be there to support them, but let them fail. It'll be better in the long run. I guarantee it.
Empathy, that's all I can say. I think when we make these choices and decisions related to kids, related to what we feel they should be getting or how they should be treated or whatever the case may be, we can't lose sight of the empathy, because it's not just your kid out there on that team. And now those kids have to live with the trauma that their coach is dead. And now the ripple effects of your selfish decision, your non-empathetic outlook to take action in this misguided way to advocate for your child. You have now ruined the lives or drastically had a deleterious effect on the lives of those kids outside of your child and your child. Because now you're not going to be there for your child. You may not even be in your child's life anymore because you had a rash decision to do something so stupid.
Yeah, and that's the next thing.
That lacked true empathy for other people and the things going on. That's all I can say.
CPS is definitely coming for dude. Like, and I don't know if the other guy died. They said he shot him. I don't know. You know, so
or even still, like, he's not gonna be at work tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean?
Nah,
like,
for sure. But
It's 5 shots to you.
You're going to jail and you're gonna lose time with your kid anyway. So stupid.
Stupid decision, but it's lacking empathy. And I think society, we have gotten so like grind, hustle. It's about me, and me and mines. Yo, I'm gonna take care of everything I gotta take care of. That we lose sight that there's someone else. By you growing that hard and you doing all these things, you so focused on yourself. Who else are you hurting by doing that? Right? You're swimming so hard in the water. Don't forget, every time you stroke, pause, you're splashing water on somebody else, man. And you're making such a big splash and so many ripples, and the wave that's being created is affecting those around you. And you gotta be mindful of that as you go through life, because, you know, as you're climbing up, you may be passing other people, which is great, but they're going to be the same people who are going to, you may need help to stay up there, and or you're going to see them on the way back down. And I think it's important, at least in my experience, to kind of look out for others while you're going on the way up. because we're stronger together than we ever were or ever could be apart. So I don't know. That's my thoughts about that. That's just crazy.
Facts. So as we close this thing out, we'll get to our
Mhm.
quote for the day. Our quote is short and sweet and simple, and it kind of ties into some of our topics today. And it's not from anybody. Well, I don't know if it's from anybody specifically. It's one of the ones that I've heard, felt, and just been like, I kind of stand by it. Today's quote is, "You only get to be a victim one time. Anything after that, you are a volunteer."
Run that back. Who said that? That's a good one.
I don't know. I just like I said, I heard it. It stuck, and I like it to tie into some of our shit, especially the Ant-Man shit that we talked about. But you only get to be a victim one time. Anything after that, you are a volunteer. So let that sink in. But as we bid you adieu, we'll tell you to stay safe in this crazy world and guard yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and all things in between.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, that's it, man. A lot of talk today, a lot of good talk. And I feel a lot better after getting some nutrients in my system.
That's what I'm talking about.
And they
man.
settle in. I feel a lot more like myself as we close this thing out. So EFS Podcast, episode number 53 is out.
Yes, sir.
Catch you on the next one. Peace.